So thank you, and good morning, everyone. Today I'll be presenting my point of view on semantic search, its potential and opportunities, right? So before I get started, I have a question for you guys. So is there anyone here who haven't Googled or searched over the last 2 days? Okay. So there you go, right? So search has become such an integral part of our day-to-day life today, right? So most of you will be familiar with this image, right? So in this era of digital and social media, we are being exposed to tons and tons of information, right? So if you know, there are around 1 billion HTML pages on the internet and close to more than 8 zettabytes of data, right? So what is this? So this is basically causing, this is basically causing information overload, right? So this is a pretty interesting statistics here, right? So all the information is growing at a rapid pace. The rate at which we could consume this information is pretty much remain the same, right? And I don't think this is going to change over a period of time. So, well, you would say we have the... Is there a problem? There's a problem with when I come too closer, right? Yeah. So you would pretty much say, oh, we have the likes of all the search engines like Google, Yahoo, Bing, which would be able to find the information which I'm looking for, right? Well, they can, but they may not be able to provide you the actual results with a lot of relevance and in a timely manner, right? So as Carl says, looking for information on the internet is like trying to drink water from a fire hydrant, right? So, and again, then we have, now with the advancement in technology, we have all the mobile devices, right? So we have, these mobile devices have become such an integral part of our life today. So I would also say that we may stay away from our wives and girlfriends for days together, but from a mobile phone, I don't think so we'll stay away for even a second, right? So that's pretty much its integral part it's become in our day-to-day life. So we use mobiles for a lot of things, right? So we use mobiles for searching as well, right? So think about using such a small device, right? Over this amount of information what we have, it is tying back to the same analogy around the water hydrant, right? It will be like using a straw to drink water from this water hydrant, right? So this information overload and the mobile has actually transformed the way, transformed the search industry as of now, right? Both in terms of search engines as well as the way we search, right? So we are actually moving towards a semantic era where we are actually from a keyword search, we are moving towards semantics. So keyword is pretty much what we do in terms of using certain terms. We just go ahead and search it, and then it brings you the specific results what you're looking at, right? But semantic looks at the entire phrase, search phrase, and tries to derive the meaning, right? The intent and the context of the user as such, right? So this is how Google looked in the early 2000s, right? And this is how its counterparts looks today. So if you look at it, if I were to say find information around how to bake a chicken, right? So if I were to use the same phrase in the Google back then, so it is pretty much using a keyword search. It would pretty much say, hey, yeah, it find two terms, which is bake and chicken, and it will get you a link of, it will get you a results with link of information right around it. Then we used to get in to each of the link, and as humans, we are using our intelligence, trying to figure out what is the one which is really talking about, right? But whereas now, today, on the Google, if you go ahead and search, it pretty much gives you the entire instructions, right? It is able to understand the entire phrase and then come up with what I am actually looking for, right? So semantic search is already there, but people are really not aware, right? So and also today we could do some of these conversational kind of natural language queries as well, right? For example, if I type in who is the Prime Minister of India, so it pretty much brings in Narendra Modi, and along with that, you pretty much see that it also brings in a lot of information around his personal details, his timelines, okay, the Facebook, it means the social media is active and stuff like that, right? In this case, Google is doing a couple of things, right? So what is it doing? So Google has its own data system called as the knowledge graphs, right, which is nothing but an entity relationship. Entity could be a people, location, or things, right? And also it is using some concept called as linked data, wherein it talks to the various external sources, in this case the DBpedia, which is a machine representation of Wikipedia, right, to get these informations. And there is other breed of semantic search engines like DuckDuckGo. I'm not sure how many of you have used it, right? So, but it helps you to disambiguate in the sense like it will remove the ambiguity in the search what you're doing, right? In this case, if I'm saying Apple, it will say, hey, Apple. Are you talking about Apple as in fruit or Apple as in company, right? So it uses something called as ontology and stuff in order to bring this functionality. So if you notice the search, as we are currently in the era of semantic evolution, right? So wherein we are moving towards a state which is called as web of data, or the web of data, wherein we are trying to convert the entire data on the web into a machine readable format, right? So in order to enable semantics, this is very important for us, right? There are various standards around it though, like RDF, REFA, and linked data, right? Using which you will be able to convert this into the machine readable format, right? So along with the semantic search brings in a lot of opportunities along with it, right? And potential. Just a minute. Yeah. Sorry about that. Right? It brings in a lot of potential, right? So there are a lot of companies today who have already tapped into this potential. So let's look at some of these, right? So you guys have you heard about Wolfram Alpha? So has anyone used it here? Right? So this is a computational knowledge search engine, right? So if you look at it, have you ever imagined running specific mathematical calculations and trying to get answers using a search engine? I'm not sure. At least I haven't done that. So right. So but if you look at this, it would give you, if I want to figure out what is the 45.23% of, let's say, 87948, right? It pretty much gives you that results, right? So it is using a computational algorithm behind the scene, right, and certain methods in order to bring this information, right? Okay, so the vision of, for example, Wolfram Alpha is to be a factual-based engine which could provide you answers to anything across any domain, right? So then we have Quickie. So Quickie is pretty interesting though. So if you look at it, it's a semantic search engine again. So if you look at this, a typical semantic search engine, what it does is like it will go across the web, it will find the information for you, and then present that in a summarized format, right? So that's what we are used to. But what this does differently is it tries to present that in a more storytelling way, right? Using graphics, as you see, right? So what it does, it searches across Google, YouTube, Wikipedia, etc., and then tries to get all the textual content as well as audio and video content, and then tries to put that in a storytelling way, right? For example, if you look at this example which I'm showing here, it is George Clooney. So it pretty much tells, okay, when did he debut, what were the awards he got it, and what is he currently doing, and so forth, right? So no wonder it got the best disruptive search engine award sometime back, and right now it has been acquired by Yahoo, right? So, and then we have a bunch of search assistants. I think you guys are using Apple phones, Microsoft phones, etc., right? So we have Apple Siri, we have Microsoft Cortana, right? So, and Google Now, right? All these are using voice recognition and natural language processing, right, in order to provide the answers to our queries as such, right? But the very interesting aspect with respect to this is these are pretty self-learning, right? So depending on the usage of the user and its preferences, it is becoming smarter and smarter, right? And it is trying to give you answers with respect to that. And you can also be able to ask it to do certain tasks, right? With respect to like maybe making a call, getting the weather details and stuff like that, right? And then there is a set of wearable devices. So there have been a lot of advancements in this area of late, right? I think from Google Glass to Apple Watches to Google Watches or whatever you call it, right? So and the bands, which would help you to pretty much monitor whatever you're doing on a day-to-day basis, right? So there is a lot of enhancement. All these things use semantic search and semantic technologies, right? So let's look at some of the possibilities, right, or the opportunities it further brings, which is in terms of, let's say, augmented reality, right? So we have been seeing augmented reality in our science fiction movies from some time now, right? It helps you to do the image mapping and visual-based searches, right? So think about something like, hey, I'm in a soccer match, right, and I need to get some information of certain players, right? So think about an app which could pretty much do image recognition and then bring you the details saying, hey, this is the person, and this is his information around, these are some of the video highlights and stuff like that, right? So from various data sources, right? Or think about you have gone to a shop, right, and you want to, it's pretty much, I guess every one of us go through this experience sometime, right? I get into the shop and then pretty much I'm interested in buying a specific bulb, let's say, right? But I don't know what is the best bulbs available in the market right now, right? So let's assume I have an app wherein I would go and search, hey, please get me the brands of the best brand of these bulbs, right? Which have a user rating of more than 4 and is between, let's say, 500 to 600 rupees, right? So think about it is able to do the search, and when I move over my mobile over the counter, it shows me and highlights me this is what it is. Right? So those are some of the possibilities you could do when it comes to augmented reality, right? And we have Internet of Things, right? So from an Internet of Things, I guess from a Gartner's prediction, there would be around more than 30 million gadgets which will be connected over the Internet by 2020, right? So there is a lot of advancement which has been happening in the IoT space as such, right? So think about, right, you have all your household devices which are connected, which are interconnected, and which are interconnected, and your mobile devices through your mobile devices as well, right? So think about if I am trying to use a specific app and asking it, hey, tell me what are my options? Okay, options for cooking for tonight, for example, right? So it could pretty much go ahead and then talk to your refrigerator, right, and bring back a list of options, right? It is pretty possible. So depending on the content of your refrigerator, right? Or it could pretty much send out information back to you saying that, hey, there are certain items which are going low, right? Or it could even go ahead and place the order for you online. Right? So all these are possibilities when it comes to IoT, right? So it is all driven by the semantic and semantic search aspects coming into picture, right? So what are the other possibilities? So I want to leave you guys with this thought, actually, right? So if you look at this, it is you guys must be able to relate to this, right? This is Iron Man, right? And this is Tony Stark with his life assistant called Jarvis, right? So Jarvis pretty much handles all the household aspects for the Iron Man as such, right? And for Tony, and also Tony is able to have a conversation with Jarvis, right? And Jarvis also helps him in terms of building his suit as well. So imagine, right, if all of us had a personal Jarvis, right, whom we could talk to and do whatever, and it does what we have seen in the Iron Man movie as such, right? That's a possibility which I feel could happen in the next 20-25 years, right? And there is a lot of evolutionary effect which has been happening around that field, right? So that's about that. I mean, I just wanted, that's pretty much what I had. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.